Using our 19mm socket, let's go ahead and remove our lug nuts. Remove our wheel, set that aside. Now repeat for the other side. Onto the center of the front of the car, we have an engine splash shield here. We're going to go ahead and use our trim tool, remove some of the plastic buttons holding one side of this in place. And on this side over here, there's a 10mm bolt up here, and there's a 10mm bolt on the front. Let's go ahead and remove those. I'm going to go ahead and use that trim tool to remove this plastic button right here. You can use a pick to get inside. I want to pop out that center. Right up underneath here, there's another plastic button securing the back section. I want to go ahead and do the same in the back. Once that button's out, you can tuck this down and out of the way. Inside the driver's side wheel well, there's a plastic button right here. Let's go ahead and pop that out. Across the front, we're going to go ahead and remove all of our plastic push pins supporting the shield. Ours was damaged and we received it with some components missing already. Use a trim tool to go ahead and remove the center and pull the pin. Continue across the front. And there is one buried up underneath here. And there's one more. Using a 17mm socket, we're going to go ahead and remove these two bolts. Actually, we're going to remove this one and loosen this one. I'm going to go ahead and repeat for the passenger side. Using a 14mm swivel socket, we're going to go ahead and reach in here to these two bolts. This is a body to subframe mount. I want to go ahead and just loosen these here, and then we're going to do the same for the passenger side. Now we removed our back bolts on the subframe. When we loosen this, the subframe will slowly lower down a little bit. So just be aware of that. I'm going to go ahead and loosen the bolts here on the passenger side. Now we do have our screw jack supporting the tail end of the subframe. You can see that that had moved down. Loosen, but don't remove these front subframe bolts. Using our 15mm gear wrench here, I'm going to use our ball head Allen. I'm just going to hold this here and break that nut loose. Now we used our ball head Allen because the angle, we couldn't get in here without hitting the bottom portion of our strut. Let's go ahead and remove this nut. Let's go ahead and loosen our end link here. Just wiggle this out. Using a deep 14mm socket, go ahead and remove the 2 nuts on the rear transmission mount. Now we're going to go ahead and remove our 2 14mm nuts here on our forward transmission mount. We're going to remove the 2 14mm bolts. There's one here, and there's one just up in the forward of that. Using our shallow 14mm socket and extension. Remove this one here. Now once you have your vehicle supported on jack stands, you're going to go ahead and use your jack with a block of wood. And we're going to go ahead and raise our transmission here. And then we'll go up and grab our other half of the mount. It looks like our unit's coming out in 2 pieces here. Go ahead and lower our new mount down into position. Before we lower the transmission, we're going to go ahead and start the 2 nuts on the bottom. Just take the nut, pop that into your socket, and then feed that up. Now once that nut is caught, we want to go ahead and repeat for the forward one here. Now we can go ahead and lower our transmission down in a position here. And we just need to work this jack just a little bit to get our bolt holes from the transmission lined up with our mount. And then we'll go ahead and get those bolts installed. Go ahead and get that bolt started, and then we're just going to use our ratchet to go ahead and get it in a few threads. Now our hole isn't lining up quite yet, so we're going to go ahead and jack the jack up just a tiny bit. And then we'll go ahead and get our bolt started. I'm going to go ahead and tighten our bolts down. Let's go ahead and tighten up these lower nuts here. Lower down our transmission. Let's go ahead and install our nuts on the other rear mount. I'll go ahead and remove our screw jack here. Now we're going to use our screw jack here to go ahead and raise up the back part of the subframe. We're going to watch our bolts on our body to subframe bracket line up here. We can go ahead and line up our bracket, put on our back bolt. And go ahead and repeat for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and tighten down our front subframe bolts. Go ahead and tighten these bolts down. Let's go ahead and torque down our horizontal bolts here to 36 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and torque down these two bolts to 36 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and torque our body bolt to 33 foot-pounds. I'm going to go ahead and torque down our subframe bolts to 76 foot-pounds. Repeat for the other side. Go ahead and torque down these bolts here to 70 foot-pounds. Repeat for the other side. I'm going to go ahead and attach our Swivel end link. Install the nut. I want to go ahead and tighten this down. If you have the ability to do so, you want to go ahead and torque this nut down to 22 foot-pounds. I'm just going to make that nice and tight. Go ahead and install our belly pan here. Going to get one of our bolts started here. And we have our plastic push pins. Pop these up into place. Install our rearward bolt on the back here. And then once we get these in a few threads, we'll go ahead and tighten them down. I'm going to go ahead and install some of our plastic push pins here. All right, let's go ahead and install our wheel. Start all of our lug nuts by hand, and then we'll go ahead and snug those down. Get our lug nuts all started by hand, and then we'll go ahead and snug these down. Go ahead and torque our wheels down to 80 foot-pounds